Okay, welcome back. Today we're going to be jumping into 8.5, factoring general trinomials. Okay, so last section we worked on 8.4, factoring out GCF, which is the greatest common factor. Now, for this section, this is probably the most difficult stuff that we have been trying. But as long as you follow my steps, we're going to try to make it as easy as possible. So, um, so we're going to be factoring. So we want either terms or sets of terms that do what? Multiply together. Okay? Um, General trinomial. A trinomial has how many terms? Three terms. So if we're looking at my general trinomial down here, I have one, two, three terms. Now, the form of a general trinomial is ax squared plus bx plus c. Now, don't worry about what a is, what b is, what c is. Just know that if you make this an equation, y equals, if you make this an equation, it's going to look like a parabola. And I've been talking about that type of graph a little bit, but if I have my x and my y axis, it's going to look something like this, a parabola or a U-shaped graph. Okay, so that's a little bit further, but the second half of chapter 8 and all of chapter 9 is going to be dealing with this U-shaped graph, which is called a parabola. Now, remember what that second degree polynomial is called. It's called a quadratic. So we're dealing with a quadratic trinomial in this case, or just a quadratic graph in general. So, um, let me stop talking and kind of get back into this. So, um, when we factored form, it's going to start that looks or each equation is going to start something that looks like ax squared plus bx plus c. And our answer is going to look like a set of parentheses. Okay? And I'm going to have a variable here, usually x, a variable here, usually x. Um, and then it's either going to be plus or minus a number, plus or minus a number. So I'm just going to give you a quick example. If it was plus 2 minus 5. So that's just an example of what an answer is going to look like. Okay, x plus 2, x minus 5. So let's just jump right into a couple examples. And with this stuff, it's just kind of memorizing and remembering steps. Now, I'm going to teach you, the first type of general trinomials we're going to be dealing with is where the a value is equal to 1. The a value is the number in front of the x squared. Let me say that again. The a value is the number in front of x squared, or whatever variable is squared. Okay, good. Now, you could see for all of these examples, 1, 2, and 3, the a value is 1, a value is 1, a value is 1. Okay, so next section I'm going to be dealing with these types of general trinomials where they're not equal to 1. Okay, good. So now I'm going to teach you a method. It's called the X method. Okay, the X method, which is going to kind of organize what you're trying to do. Okay, now what I essentially want to do, I want to have, my ultimate goal is to have two sets of parentheses, right? So I want two numbers, okay, that I am going to multiply, okay, multiply to be the last number. Okay, multiply to be the last number. Okay, so if I multiply to be the last number, it's going to be plus 4. So what you're going to do is after you draw your x, if your x is not drawn, I want you down below to write multiply, or draw the multiplication dot, plus 4. Okay, good. Now, I want two numbers that multiply to 4, but when you add them together, okay, when you add them together, they're going to equal the middle, the coefficient of the middle term, which is positive 4. Okay, so just a quick hint. The middle term always goes on top and you're adding. the last term always goes on bottom and you're multiplying. Okay, now you have to kind of try to think of a couple of different factors. Okay, so this is what we worked on factors of numbers last section. So what are the factors of 4? So I have 1 times 4 and 2 times 2. Those are all the factors of 4. Now, you want to choose a set of factors that add, okay, remember add to 4. So 1 plus 4 is 5. That doesn't make sense. Well, 2 plus 2 is 4. Okay, so that's what we need, 2 and 2. So you're going to take, okay, you're going to take that solution and you're going to write a 2 here and you're going to write a 2 here. Okay. Now, how do I make that 4? This has to be a positive 2. This has to be a positive 2. All right? Okay. Now, we're almost done. The last step is to take your initial value, which is x squared, and you're going to kind of split those x's up. You're going to take that x, you're going to put it in front here, take this x, put it in front here. Now that you can kind of see, I have 2 different expressions. I'm just going to put some parentheses around it, put some parentheses around it, and that's our answer. So you're going to drop that parentheses down there, drop that parentheses down there, and I'm going to have x plus 2, x plus 2. Now, that's going to be my answer. Now, I'm going to go ahead and check for the first one. Now, you could always check your answers, just like I did for the greatest common factor. You could do that moving forward with general trinomials as well. Now here I'm going to FOIL, so I'm going to do x times x, which is x squared, x times 2, which is 2x, 2 times x, which is positive 2x, 2 times 2, which is 4. Now if you multiply this out, it's going to give you what you started with. So I'm going to have x squared, 2x plus 2x is 4x plus 4. Is that what I started with? X squared plus 4x plus 4? X squared plus 4x equals 4, yeah? That's exactly what I started with. So the factored form is 2 parentheses that are multiplied together. So this would be my answer. Let's try another one, okay? Let's try another one. Remember, first thing I want to do, take this last term, which is a positive 10, and what do you want to do? You want to have 2 numbers that multiply to be that positive 10. Okay, multiply to be that positive 10. Okay, good. I'm going to take that middle term, negative 7. You want 2 numbers that add to negative 7. Okay, good. Now, when I separate them, okay, or when I want to try to figure out which I'm going to separate, I need to figure out the factors of 10. So what are the factors of 10? Let's just start with 1. 1 times 10 is 10. 2 times 5 is 10. 3 times nothing, 4 times nothing, 5 times 2. So I'm back where I started. Okay, so these are the only factors of 10. Now, the only difference here, okay, whenever an addition is a little bit easier. Now, when one of them is subtraction or negative, you have to kind of think of how can I create a 7? Okay, how can I create a 7? Can I make a 7 from a 1 and a 10? No. Can I make a 7 from a 2 and a 5? I can make a 7 from a 2 and a 5. Okay, so 2 and 5, okay, those are going to be my factors. So I'm going to take those. Okay, take those, trying to stick with the same colors. Okay, I'm going to put a 2 here, put a 5 here. Okay, now leave some room because I want to write something in front of there and I want to write something in front of there. Now, this is where it gets a little bit tricky. Okay, a little bit tricky. Now, I want to try to create, remember, when I add these together, they need to equal a negative 7. Okay, negative 7. Well, if I have 2 plus 5, that's going to equal 7. Okay, that doesn't work. Well, let's make the 5 negative. 2 minus 5, well, that's a negative 3. That doesn't work. Okay, so that doesn't work. That doesn't work. Okay. What about, let's try the 2 negative. Negative 2, let's do plus 5. Does that work? Negative 2 plus 5. No, that's 3. That doesn't work either. Okay. Well, here they're both positive. Here the 2 is positive. 5 is negative. For the last one, we have negative 2, positive 5. The only one we haven't tried is if both of them are negative. So if both of them are negative, negative 2 minus 5 is a negative 7, and then that's what I need. So what does that mean? That means that my 2 has to be negative, and my 5 has to be negative. Okay, good. Now I'm going to go back. Okay, last step. Take my variable, and I have to split that squared up. X there, X there. Okay, I'm going to put my parentheses around it, so it's going to be a set of parentheses. Ooh, whoa, whoa, wait, oh. How can I go back there? Whoa, there we go. Okay, and put a set of parentheses right there. Good. So, let me see if I could find any room here. So I'm going to put my answer all the way down here. So it's going to be x minus 2 and x minus 5. And that's going to be my answer. Like I said, you could always go ahead and check, and it should give you what you started with, x squared minus 7x plus 10. Okay, good. Okay, I am going to do one more with you. One more, and then next one's a money problem. Okay, let's stick with the colors. Okay, first thing I want to do, take that last term. Two numbers that multiply to be negative 12. Don't forget, another teaching point, always carry that sign that's in front. Good. Next one. Okay, I want two numbers that multiply to negative 10, then add to positive 1. Add to positive, ooh, whoa, hey-oh. There we go, positive 1. Awesome. Next thing I want to do, I want my factors. Okay, factors of 12. Well, 1 times 12, obviously. 2 times 6. 3 times 4. 4 times 3. So that's all my factors. Okay, now, can I create a 1 by any of these? Okay, remember, yeah, I'm talking about adding, but can I create a 1? Okay, think that. Can I create a 1 anyway? Because you could throw positive and negatives on each of these. Well, 1 and 12, I can't make a 1 there. What about a 2 and a 6? Well, I can make an 8, or I can make a 4. That won't work. What about 3 and 7? 3 and 4. If I add them together, I can make a 7. But what if I subtract 3 and 4? I'll get 1. So actually, 3 and 4 is what I need. So you're going to take those values, 3 and 4. Good. Now, like I said, you want to try to create a positive one. So how do I create a positive one? Well, like I said, I'm going to subtract them. If I'm going to subtract them, which one has to be positive? So if I have 3 minus 4, that's going to give me negative 1. Okay, so how about I switch that? That's not what I need. I need a positive 1, so it has to be negative 3 plus 4 is actually a positive 1, so that's the one I need. That's the one I don't need. Okay, good. So that means that my 3 up here has to be negative. My 4 up here has to be positive. Okay, last thing I want to do, take my x, okay, take my value, split it up, x, have my set of parentheses, have my set of parentheses. Awesome. So that is actually my answer. I'm just going to scroll down and write that as x minus 3 times x plus 4. And that is going to be my answer. Okay. If you need to rewatch the video for me to go through any of the examples, please do so. The next one is a money problem, and good luck.